One of the most famous biblical stories is of Noah's Ark. Even if you've never picked up a Bible in your life, chances are that you have at least heard of the tale. Interestingly, many ancient cultures share very similar stories that are even older than the version in Genesis. This has led eager contemporary historians and archaeologists to seek out evidence of the existence of such an ark. And now, they believe that they may finally found a huge piece to the puzzle. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. According to the story in Genesis, after the worldwide flood, Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat in modern-day Turkey. Could it possibly be that centuries later, scientists have finally unveiled new evidence about what really happened? According to biblical scripts, not only did God tell Noah to bring members of his family on board, but he also instructed him to bring along other things that would be essential to repopulate the earth. The instructions included sample groups of different animal species that would be released to roam free after the flood. In order to survive the upcoming hardships, God instructed Noah to build a massive ark, the likes of which have never been seen. He was given the exact material and dimensions that would be required to build such a ship. The dimensions were 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits tall, which is equivalent to 450 multi 75 multi 45 feet, not to mention it was 3 stories high. A Hong Kong-based group called Noah's Ark Ministries International, NAMI, is devoted to digging up all evidence they can find regarding Noah's Ark. While many experts don't take NAMI's findings seriously, there are some who believe that they may be on to something. One Ark hunter believes that they might have finally uncovered the key to the Ark's last known location. As exciting as these findings may be, most of their past findings and others before them have been debunked. For example, in 1955, when a French explorer reported that he found a 5-foot wood beam beneath a glacier on Mount Ararat, while it was verified that the wood beam was about 5,000 years old, the explorer eventually admitted that he had brought it from a nearby village. While most experts on the matter agree on the general location of the Ark, the Syrian tradition differs from the Ararat story. The Syrians believe that the Ark actually landed on Mount Judi. In fact, early Christian and Islamic traditions call Mount Judi the place of descent, and Josephus, the Roman Jewish historian, said that the Ark's remains were displayed at the place of descent by Armenians in the 1st century, about 60 miles southeast of Mount Ararat. Dr. Andrew Snelling, Ph.D. of the University of Sydney, and a young Earth creationist, is another expert who doesn't believe that the Ark docked on Mount Ararat. Dr. Snelling says that it is very unlikely for it to have landed there, considering that Mount Ararat was formed years after the flood. Early theologians like Origen and Augustine are believed to have a clearer idea of what Noah's Ark may have looked like. Catholic theologian Alfonso Tostada wrote an account in the 15th century describing every single detail about the Ark, and a century later, French mathematician Johannes Buteau aimed to lay out the Ark's dimensions, which many contemporary scholars subscribe to. Out of all the Mesopotamian flood stories, yes, there are a few, the one that stands out the most is the oldest one, coined the Sumerian flood story. It dates back to 1600 BCE. The hero of this version is King Ziusudra, who builds a boat and tries to save the innocent after the gods decide to destroy the world. As you see, there's a strong resemblance to the story of Noah. Many wonder not only how, but also why these miraculous stories in the Bible took place. Philosophical questions of these biblical events have been hypothesized over the centuries. Why was the universe created? What is its purpose? And the same goes for the story of Noah. In a relatively recent excursion, Dr. Friedrich Parrott ascended Mount Ararat in 1829, over 500 years after Marco Polo recorded his sighting of the mountain. While Dr. Parrott did not attempt to dig up the Ark, he did, however, document how the locals felt about the legend of Noah's Ark. All the Armenians are firmly persuaded that Noah's Ark remains to this very day on the top of Ararat, and that, in order to preserve it, no human being is allowed to approach it, he said. As we mentioned before, NAMI, Noah's Ark Ministries International, believes that they found concrete evidence of the famous Ark on Mount Ararat. In 2010, a group of Chinese and Turkish evangelicals claimed to have found wooden artifacts that are likely to be ruins from the Ark, which would confirm once and for all the location of the historic ship. Had they found the breakthrough the world was looking for? Not long after a French explorer banned Fernand Navarre admitted to fabricating his findings, a helicopter pilot named George Green took a shot at unveiling the whereabouts of the Ark. Green claimed that he could see the Ark from his helicopter ride above Ararat and said it's fossilized in the side of a rock cliff about 13,000 to 14,000 feet above sea level. Apparently, his sky view photos weren't convincing enough as he failed to gain investment for a proper expedition. From a theologian's perspective, one of the most intriguing details about the legend is that it appears to be a microcosm of creation. There were 3 decks on the Ark, which may symbolize the 3 levels that Hebrews believed made up the world: the waters, the heavens, and the earth. Another mystery surrounding Noah's Ark regards the exact materials used to build such a structure. According to the King James Version of the Bible, the Ark was made of gopher wood. However, since there are no trees that go by the name gopher today, it's hard to verify. The New International Version of the Bible uses the term cypress wood. Although it is commonly thought that Noah rescued 2 of each animal, the Bible states differently. In one passage it says, 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, and later 7 pairs of every kind of bird. So, if you do the math, it may have actually been 14 of each animal. Some experts believe that there were as many as 2.15 million sheep in the vessel. Naturally, most are skeptical about this outrageous number, considering all the other animals and humans needed enough space to sleep, eat, and just live during the time they spent on the ship. Other theorists speculate that the number of animals on the ship was closer to 16,000. At 16,854 feet, Mount Ararat is the tallest peak in Turkey. Did you know that it's actually a dormant volcano? The site is considered very holy to Armenians because of its connection to Noah. Armenians love it so much that it is displayed on their coat of arms along with Noah's Ark. According to Flavius Josephus, a 1st century Roman scholar, theorized that the mountains of Ararat are located in the area now known as Armenia. This account has been repeated numerous times by other scholars of the time, from Hieronymus the Egyptian to Nicholas of Damascus. The popular explorer Marco Polo, who was known for his journeys into Asia, had his own theory about the whereabouts of the Ark. As he wrote in The Travels of Marco Polo, "In the heart of the Armenian mountain range, the mountain's peak is shaped like a cube or cup on which Noah's Ark is said to have rested." Outside of the evangelical historians, one of the biggest issues behind Noah's Ark is the occurrence of a worldwide flood that has never been backed by science. For a flood of that magnitude to take over the globe, there should be even the slightest evidence of its occurrence in the water levels in the soil. In addition to the lack of geographical evidence, scientists also question the flood myth because of a lack of DNA evidence. If Noah and his family were the only survivors of the flood, then technically we should be able to trace DNA genealogy back to this one family over 4,600 years ago, considering that they were the ones who repopulated the earth. History lovers certainly know about the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Mesopotamian epic poem. The epic was recorded on 12 tablets, but only 2/3 of the tablets have been recovered. It tells the story of Gilgamesh on his journey to find eternal life. Along the way, he is told a story of the Great Flood. The flood in Gilgamesh's story is oddly similar to the story of Noah's Ark. Naturally, a story as compelling as Noah's Ark was bound to be recreated in numerous artistic mediums. Some of the most recent iterations of the tale have become successful Hollywood movies. Darren Aronofsky, the director of Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan, made his own version of Noah's Ark, starring Russell Crowe as the biblical character. Steve Carell has also starred as a Noah-like character in the film Evan Almighty. Ark enthusiasts from around the globe have invested millions of dollars in building their own versions. Like this Dutch carpenter who built a life-size replica of the massive vessel and even plans to sail it to Israel. His Ark even includes its very own wooden animals. The carpenter told the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, "My preferred destination for the Ark is Israel." Another Noah's Ark replica was built by an evangelical Christian group for $120 million. The Ark Encounter, a theme park in Kentucky, attracts visitors nationwide, boasting a 4.5-star rating on TripAdvisor. Despite inconsistencies in the biblical account, enthusiasts continue searching for the real Ark. The Geoscience Research Institute, GRI, hosted a symposium on Mount Ararat, where over 100 researchers gathered to explore the mystery. Determining when the flood occurred is challenging, with some speculating it coincided with the Ice Age. Various flood narratives predate the Bible, originating from Mesopotamia, with 9 known versions detailing a global catastrophe. Genesis states that Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, leading many to believe it should be found there. The story holds significance in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Baha'i beliefs, with interpretations varying across cultures. Christian scholars compare Noah's salvation to baptism. Muslims describe the Ark as bird-shaped, and Baha'is consider it symbolic. Skeptics like Oxford historian Nicholas Purcell question the story's plausibility, noting that if a massive flood occurred in 2800 BC, civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia would not have survived. Dr. Snelling argues that Mount Ararat formed after the flood, making it an unlikely location for the Ark's remains. However, some researchers insist evidence exists. Professor Raul Esperante of California's Geoscience Research Institute supports the claim that remnants of the Ark are on Mount Ararat. In 2010, a NAMI researcher reported entering a wooden structure there, carbon dated at 4,800 years old. Though not definitive, NAMI believes it is 99.9% likely to be Noah's Ark. Not all archaeologists agree. Paul Zemansky, a specialist in Middle Eastern archaeology, sarcastically remarked that every Ark expedition claims a discovery. Despite criticism, Esperante continues his research, hoping for serious scientific work in the area. A new documentary suggests ruins in Babylon Province, Iraq, may be where the Ark was built, as the bricks match descriptions of the Tower of Babel. Another investigation by Digital Globe, a space imaging company, captured satellite images of what some believe are Ark remains on a Turkish mountain. These images have intrigued Professor Porcher Taylor of the University of Richmond, who sees them as compelling biblical evidence. He refers to his work as satellite archaeology, expressing newfound optimism in this approach. While much of the scientific community remains skeptical, determined researchers and enthusiasts continue searching for definitive proof of Noah's Ark. Driven by curiosity and faith,